What's going on, everybody? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Hopefully everybody is doing well. Super excited to be back here again for another edition of Behind Closed Doors with the Brookses -1. I think this is the first time that I've flown solo without Cherie here live. So y'all do me a huge favor. Pray for your girl. She was down for the count. She's doing much, much better. But it's been a week, I tell you. The last couple of weeks has been kind of tight, and we're going to get into all of the things. But she was challenged with a little upper respiratory issues, and doctors got her on some antibiotics and some of that good stuff. And so she's taking it easy. She is going to show up in the chat probably just to chime in. There she go. Hey, you guys, please subscribe to the channel. Make sure you share this out, guys. Y'all don't want to miss today's episode. And we're going to be talking a lot about some things that I think that, quite frankly, so many people who are looking to move abroad sometimes don't count up the complete cost of what that takes and what that might look like. And so what we try to do is, you know, we're not relocation specialists, nothing like that. But what we try to do is we try to make life easier for everybody because, you know, God knows we found the easy button. Our transition here to Panama 2 years ago was as seamless as it gets. And we were grateful. And part of that was because I think, you know, with Cherie and I, we researched it, or Cherie researched it for probably 2.5 to 3 years. It was during the pandemic, long before we ever made our first trip here. So by the time we got here, we were already in a bunch of communities and doing all the things. And we had people, boots on the ground, to show us around. And it was super, super dope, super amazing. Real quick, I'm going to do something a little different. Cherie's not here, but I'm going to just do a little bit of roll call. Debo 52, Grand Rising. Good to see you, my friend. Anybody else who's chiming in for the first time, put it in the chat. Do me a huge favor. Let me know where you're tuning in from, what section of the country you're in, what city, what state, if you're in the U.S. Monica, how you doing? How's your husband? How's everybody doing? Good to see you, sis, chiming in. We've got, it looks like Loretta. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Hey, y'all. Hey, y'all. Loretta, you from the South? Where you from? Put it in the chat. Put it in the chat, y'all. I want to greet you guys more personally. If you have not had a chance to sign up for our day one membership, I want y'all to take time to do that. Cherie will drop some things in the chat to make sure that you guys can do that. Dimples is showing up. Good to see you from Spring Hill, Florida. Dimples Dawson, I think at Stacy, if I'm not mistaken. The more and more you guys interact and engage with us on the chat, on the channel, the more I remember who you are. It's amazing how you guys will come visit. We ran into a couple just this past weekend. And we ran into several couples, went to a restaurant that we frequent quite a bit. And we ran into several people. And the first thing people do is, hey, I know you from you. Do me a favor. When y'all see us out in public, can you just walk up and say, you don't know me. I chime in all the time. I'm a fan on the YouTube channel. My name is so-and-so, and it's good to meet you. Can you lead with your name? Can you do that for us? Because that will certainly help us do what we got to do to connect. Yes, I did get that right. Dimples. Also, we got Life Wide Open with the McGee's. Hugs. Listen, we hugging y'all too, hugging y'all right back. Where y'all from, Team McGee? Talk to me. Put it in the chat. Daryl, I think that is Horatio. Good afternoon from Port Charlotte, Florida. Got Florida representing the Sunshine State. Denise from Michigan is in the chat. Good to see you, Denise. What is the weather like up north? Listen, we got a family that's moving down here. I think they're from the Flint area, and they'll be here in Panama at the end of August. So it's super, super, super good. Okay, cool. I see you, Monica. Everyone as well. Cherie said, do me a favor. Go ahead. And she wants me to shout out. Yeah, I already did, babe. So for those of y'all who didn't hear the message, and you may want to keep it going, Cherie is in the chat today because she's not down for the count. She's just down. She's recovering from an upper respiratory situation. And it is something that I think that when you're here in the tropics, sometimes you'll pick some things up, and I honestly think that she picked up something while she was with me in the hospital last week. So let me go ahead and get my self going. Good to see you. Lawrence is in the building. Lawrence is a part of our Breakfast in the Word community. The McGee said, "Feel better soon, Cherie." You guys are from Portugal. Okay, that's what's up. You're in Panama, moving from Portugal. That's what's up. Maybe we'll get a chance to meet you guys at some point. Would love to do that when my wife is feeling a little bit better. Yeah, it's rough in these streets. Listen. No, it's all love. It's all love. So if you guys are ready for this content, put ready in the chat. Put ready in the chat. If you've shared this out, put me in the chat. Put me in the chat. And if you have subscribed, if you're a member of the channel and you've subscribed, put sub in the chat. You're already subscribed to our YouTube channel. Put sub in the chat. All right, y'all. Y'all ready to go? Y'all ready to go? Y'all ready to go? I don't see no readies in the chat. I ain't moving until somebody say they ready. Listen, the weather in Michigan is feeling more like fall this week. Listen, I'm telling you right now, it's a whole situation. Somebody asked me recently, said, well, why aren't you, how do you like living in Panama, living abroad? I said, I love it enough not to move back. And part of that is I grew up in South Baltimore, y'all. I'm not interested in nothing cold. I don't want to wear no more boots. I don't want to wear jeans. I don't want to wear none of that. Shout out to Dimples. Thank you again. Want to see y'all in November when we visit. First Saturdays. Let me just say this before we get into it. And I see the readies coming. If you guys are coming to Panama, one of the easiest ways to catch us while we're here in the city and not moving all around is to come on a first Saturday. Whatever the first Saturday of that particular given month is, I want you guys to mark your calendars and, if possible, plan your trips around the first Saturday of a month. And that way you guys can come over and visit. We have a huge meetup. It's a gospel brunch that we do every first Saturday from 10:30 till 12 noon at Mika's Cafe. And it's really designed to do two things. One, to provide a fellowship opportunity for our Breakfast in the Word community. It's our Bible study that we do online every Saturday, and you're welcome to join that as well. But also it is our opportunity to meet with expats and people who are coming through the country, people who are visiting, locals, expats, people who are here who want to get to know each other. We create that so that we can make sure that we get a chance to meet you guys. Because believe it or not, y'all, we're closing in on 7,000 people subscribed to our channel. And I can tell you right now, it can be overwhelming from one week to another, the amount of messages that we're getting saying, hey, we're in town, we would love to meet, blah, blah. And there are a lot of times we're not even in town. Like we on the move too. So I certainly want to, we set this aside every month so that we can make sure we get a chance to meet with you guys. Join us first Saturdays each month at Mika's Cafe. It's up on the screen, 10:30 to 12 noon. And we want you to do that. And then also, if you want to join us for Breakfast in the Word, that's our Bible study that we do on Saturdays. That's what we're going to do. All right, real cool. Got about 25 of you guys in the room. It's great to hear you. I know you guys are here for the content. We're not going to be that long. I'm going to read from my notes so that I don't get this twisted, because I know a lot of you guys are taking notes. Also, I'm very well aware. of the fact that many of you guys are going to watch these things on replay, right? So at that particular point, it's going to be important for me to get it. But I just want to let me start by saying this. For many of you guys, you may find or have found out, if you follow me on Instagram or you follow me on Facebook, that I recently was hospitalized last week. This time it's Thursday, so I was just getting out of the hospital, just getting settled. And just long story short, let me back up for a little bit. When Cherie and I came here, and I'm gonna slow down for a second and help you guys understand, it was health motivated. So Cherie and I didn't move to Panama because we were running from something. I'm going to put that out there. And I'm not saying that that's bad, or I'm not judging, but that wasn't our case. That wasn't our scenario. We were actually moving to something. We actually moved here because at one point, my wife struggles from depression and anxiety. She goes through challenges and changes. And her therapist actually suggested, had you ever considered moving to a place where environmentally the climate, not necessarily the weather, but the environment is conducive to a serene way of living? And she said, I ain't never considered that. Never thought about that. Never once considered. Do your research. That might help you sort of manage some of your anxiety and your depression. And sure enough, as we began that research journey, Panama kept hitting the radar. And so with that being said, we moved here for medical reasons, to be quite frank. We came here in 2023, January 2023, had a chance to visit Casco Viejo for a week. It was 10 days, actually. Had some friends with us. We call them affectionately the co-parents because it's my ex-wife and her husband. We're great friends. And we visited. We were here for 10 days. We did the scouting trip, teamed up with Mike Kelly. At the time, he was doing relocation tours and things like that. And we did all the things when it came to scouting out what we had researched. And I need y'all to understand that this is the part that I think that caused us, it was a bit of a cheat sheet. We came here knowing about what we wanted and where that was. And so all we did was hire a private a driver, really, to just take us around to consider, hey, does it meet the eye test? Is it something that we really want to see? So the other part of it was to get our health back in order. I don't know about y'all, but I picked up probably 35 pounds during the pandemic. During that 2 years where we were shut down and you couldn't get outside and it was a hard year, I realized, man, but I can't go out to the restaurant, but I sure can order in. And y'all, I'm going to tell you, I was ordering in every meal. And when you're eating restaurant portions, restaurant quality food, you're ordering in all the time, it's going to put the pounds on. And so you're sedentary. I began gaining a significant amount of weight, and it's been a difficult thing to shed it. So that leads me up to what was going on with me last week. So I began experiencing some really severe abdominal pains. And I don't know if you have ever been impacted or had, constipation really, really bad, but that was the feeling that I had. And so I was kind of treating it like that until I started vomiting, and then it was getting worse and worse and worse. And so I eventually called Omar up, and he was available and was able to take us up to Pacifica Salud, to the emergency room. And at that particular point, guys, that's where it was determined that I had an acute pancreatitis. And so when we talk about pancreatitis, here's the challenge. Normally it's developed because people have either gallstones or they're alcoholics, neither of which was my story. So the doctors were baffled. Like, why is this guy's pancreas so inflamed? So they ran a battery of tests, and I'm going to go through some costs that were shocking to me. And we're talking about this week, the shocking costs we never saw coming. Hey, Stephanie, it's good to see you in the room. Appreciate you guys for popping in. Again, if you are just joining us, if you have not joined and subscribed to the channel, we would love for you to do that. Make sure that if you're enjoying today's conversation, you want to help us to create content like this, please consider supporting the channel right now by giving a gift or even sending a super chat. It's just a way to say thanks. We don't get, this is not our job to come to YouTube and inform you guys, but we feel really like it's an obligation in a lot of ways. There's so many people that I think are either being fed misinformation, or B, they don't have a trusted group of people that they can kind of really bounce things off of. And that's one of the things that we're trying to do with this community. So we're going to get into this. And I'm going to talk about, first of all, we're going to talk about three different things. We're going to talk about emergency medical expenses. We're going to talk about hospital stay costs. We're going to talk a little bit about grocery costs, dining out costs. And then today I'm going to get into what does it look like to hire a private chef. So let me just let the cat out the bag. The timing of me going in the hospital for a pancreatic issue, an inflamed pancreas, coincided when Cherie and I had already determined that we were going to hire a private chef. And the reason why is for twofold. One, we needed to be able to monitor what we were eating long term and be able to consistently eat quality prepared food on a regular basis, that we got to dictate what the menu was. And the only way you can really do that is either A, cook, and do all things yourself, or hire someone to do it. And we were grateful to be able to find someone who could do this for us, who's a professional chef. This is what she does. And if you've seen any of my Instagram videos, I'm starting to share those things. We're going to get into some of the costs, because Let me say this. I don't think we could. No, we couldn't have afforded to do this when we were in the U.S. Not with all the things we had happening, because the costs were just prohibitive. But before we go all the way there, I'm going to slow down and kind of talk a little bit about emergency medical expenses. Now, my recent ER visit and 2-night stay in a private hospital in a private room, and this was shocking to me, cost a total of $850 out of my pocket. Okay. Now, I know y'all going to have 1,000 questions. Go ahead and pop them in the chat. Do me a favor. If you got a question, proceed that with a Q so that I'll know it's not just a statement or maybe you're adding to the conversation. Put a Q before your statement. That way I'll know it's a question. And between myself, Sharia's in the chat, we're going to go ahead and get to that. But my recent health crisis, if you will, because this came out of nowhere, caused me to land in the ER. And out of pocket for the ER, it included all my doctor's fees, my meds, a CT scan, I had an x-ray, I had an ultrasound, I had daily lab work, and I did stay in a private room. Without insurance, that would have been $850, or without insurance. A key insight here is that the cost of an ER visit in the U.S. without insurance is going to be 5 to 10 times higher than that. So I'm trying to give you guys an idea on healthcare here, and in this particular hospital, what it looked like. Now, let me just go on saying, for those of you guys who are veterans, maybe you have Champ VA like I do, or maybe you're retired and you have TRICARE. We're going to get into that a little bit because Pacifica Salud will take those kinds of people. Let me say this also on the front end now that I'm talking about veterans. There is no VA hospital in Panama. Let me just say that. I don't know what you heard, but dismiss it. We've been living here for more than 2 years now. There is no VA here in Panama. What you do have are hospitals that will accept VA benefits, and they look different from one. There's some hospitals that don't at all, and then there's some hospitals like Pacifica Salud where they will, and then in some cases they will bill you if it's related to your FMP. Obviously that is, service-related injuries. If you're disabled, then that stuff is covered. But there's a litany of things that you can do, and Sharia is going to help clarify anything in the chat if you have some specific questions. But I just want to let you know that even in Panama's private hospitals, you can expect to pay 70 to 80% less for emergency medical care than you do in the U.S. But now having insurance or an emergency fund is still critical. I'm going to get into that a little bit. I think it is important for you to think through, what does a health emergency fund look like for me? If you're going to come to a place like Panama or a place anywhere abroad, I would advise that you absolutely stash funds away specifically for emergency medical care. And I'm going to get into this a little bit, and we'll kind of come back on the back end, but I want to make sure I get all these sort of facts out the way, and then we're going to do some Q&A and talk about that. But that being said, let's talk a little bit about inpatient hospital stay costs, U.S. versus Panama. The key insight here is that multi-day hospital stays are significantly cheaper in Panama, even in major private facilities. You'll learn really quickly. There's a huge public healthcare system here that you can take advantage of, but then in many cases, most expats opt for the private care. And really it's because of one of two things: either the level of critical care that they need or the speed in which they need to be looked at. The public hospitals often have the same doctors that practice at both. Matter of fact, we have a friend that works in both a private hospital, and her part-time job is at a public hospital. She does the exact same thing that she does at the private hospital, part-time at the public hospital. And so many times your quality of care is going to be good. The challenge becomes, because it's public, now you're talking about overcrowding. Now you're talking about things like resources may be limited, and that's a whole nother conversation. But I want to help you guys understand that the average private room cost, uninsured, here in Panama City is going to cost you anywhere from $600 to $1,000 per day. Okay, $600 to $1,000 per day. $3,000 to $4,000 per day is what you're paying in the U.S. Now, again, we're talking about estimates, and this is for 4 days. for 4 days. I didn't stay for 4 days, but I can promise you my costs when we looked at it was cheaper than some hotels. It was cheaper than a really high-end, 5-star hotel like a La Compañía or Sofitel or something like that down in Costco. Like, it was cheaper than that, probably than the JW on a nightly basis. So I just want you to understand, and this was again at Pacifica Salud. And so the point I'm making is that you guys have options, right? It's one of the reasons why medical tourism is huge here. We've got a friend, Mike Kelly. Many of you guys have heard us talk about it, but he handles a lot of the veterans affairs issues, things. He's like a liaison at Pacifica Salud for veterans. And I can promise you, y'all, it is a situation because he's got tons of people who will come to Panama just to get specific kinds of care because of how inexpensive the health care. The takeaway around a 4-day private hospital stay is this: Panama can cost less than a single night in many U.S. hospitals. The cost here, and also in Panama, the hospital stay costs will include all the fees for your doctors, and there are no unexpected bills after the hospital stay. In Panama, you will have to prepay for your medical expenses. I need y'all to hear that. Often, it will be charged as a deposit at admission, and then you'll need to settle that bill up at discharge. They do not do billing, so be prepared. And when we say that, meaning you can get used to in the States, particularly, we're from the U.S., not sure how it works in Canada or maybe other countries, but you go to the hospital in the U.S. and you don't have insurance, by law, they got to see you, right? Well, in most cases, they're going to figure out a way, how do they bill you on the back end? Well, you're not going to have a bill in Panama in a private hospital because you're going to pay that on the front end. They're going to run and make sure you have the right insurances or the right cash to be able to cover your stay. If you don't, they will kindly get you stable, and they will make sure that you get a ride over to the public hospital because they're not even going to see you in that regard. And so, Cherie, if I butchered that in any way, please clear that up in the chat. For those of you guys who are just jumping in, I'm Glenn P. Brooks Jr. Welcome to Behind Closed Doors with the Brookses. I'm representing one half of our team. Cherie is recovering from an upper respiratory infection, and she's in the chat kind of answering some questions because she's not in a place to do a lot of talking. And that sort of thing. So with that being said, guys, again, these are the takeaways. The other thing I want to remind you of is that in Panama, you will not only have to prepay for your medical expenses, but often, we talked about it, it's going to be charged as a deposit at admission, right? Here's what we recommend. We recommend that you set aside $5,000 on a credit or debit card as your emergency fund, okay? If you're looking to move abroad and you're looking to have an emergency fund that's specifically designed for medical stuff, emergency medical issues, we recommend that you go ahead and put about a $5,000 worth of limit or space on a credit card that's designed specifically for that. Because when you come to the hospital and you go to check in at the emergency room, they're gonna charge that. They're gonna ask for that card. They're gonna ask for some deposits, and it's gonna come off of that. Now, this is for emergency expenses. If you have Medicare Advantage, an international insurance plan, or a Panama health insurance plan, you will not need as much, but still be prepared. So this is not to say that it's one size fits all. We're just talking about just being prepared. Cherie broke her ankle 3 months after we moved here, right? And I was grateful that we had cash to be able to the next day go into a orthopedic surgeon. We had it arranged, and we got her. We didn't take her to the emergency room. We took her straight to an orthopedic surgeon because a friend of ours worked it out, got us in, and we just paid the man cash to do the x-rays, to do all of the things, put her in a wheelchair, and she wound up having surgery a week later because we were already due to go back to the U.S. for an event. And so she opted to have her surgery because she needed to be surgically repaired in the U.S. So having that money on the front end was everything, because we wound up buying her a wheelchair that was a couple $100. We wound up buying her boots, the things, the stabilizing, kind of like the soft cast, all of those kinds of things. But it was because we were prepared and we had that kind of cash on hand. If you're a veteran And I said this earlier, but it bears repeating. Please note that there are no VA hospitals here in Panama, so still be prepared to pay out of pocket, although you may be eligible for reimbursement through TRICARE or CHAMP VA or even full coverage because you have F&P conditions only. Does that make sense? Put "makes sense" in the chat if you're following along. Sharia is doing a great job, and I just thank God for my wife. She is over there in the chat kind of answering specific questions. And our hope, y'all, is that you guys take this and just tuck it away as research. Also, please hear me clearly. Do your own research. Just because we're coming and we're giving you sort of some outlines and some, maybe some best practices, if you will, please know we're not medical professionals. Please know that we're not relocation specialists. We're not realtors. We're not any of those things. We're just expats who live in the country, and we're experiencing this, and this is based on our personal experience and how we're moving. Everybody's situation can be very different than the next. And this is one of the things I will always caution you against: comparing. Stop it. Find you a trusted source and go deep. Go in. Find you a trusted source that you feel comfortable with and base your research there, because I can promise you, you can get a varying of stories the more people you talk to. And at the end of the day, if you're not careful, it just spells a bunch of confusion. All right. We're going to switch gears, and I got a bunch of make senses in the chat. I love it. I love it. Thanks, Cherie, for answering a lot of these questions. That way I don't have to go back. Will the hospital accept your U.S. health insurance? Is BCBS? Cherie, I think you have, looks like you answered that. Good. Y'all, let me say this. I'm pinch hitting. When it comes to this technical stuff like this is Cherie's lane. But because we're obligated to show up and we say that we're going to be here every other week with a live, every other week with a produced piece of content for you guys, I said, babe, I'll hold down the microphone if you can jump in the chat and look, I ain't got no shame in my game, and print me out a cheat sheet. Your boy can read. And I did go through the experience, so I do remember what I went through. But I promise you, we're gonna get it done. We're a team. Come on, everybody! Look, we all need some help.
Help me!
You understand me? All right, let's go to the grocery costs in the U.S. versus Panama. Here's a key insight here. While some local items are cheaper here in Panama, imported goods can make grocery bills comparable to U.S. averages, especially for expats who want U.S. brands. Now, when you're talking about basic groceries, right? Eggs, rice, produce, chicken, that sort of stuff. For two adults, you're talking about $150 a week for groceries on average, right? You're gonna ramp that up by another $70 to $100 by the time you add your cheeses, your cereals, your condiments, your snacks, things like that. On average, for groceries here in Panama, you're gonna probably spend around $800 to $1,000 for two people, right? And here's where I want y'all to understand. Average monthly. That's the monthly. I was like, a week? No, that's on a monthly basis. On a monthly basis, right? I can tell y'all. I'm sorry. I'll take that back. I got that all wrong, y'all. Cherie, I apologize. That is U.S. prices. That is U.S. prices. I just got finished listing. These are all U.S. prices. Let me go back. Let me slow down. On average in the U.S., depending on where you are in the U.S., you're probably spending anywhere from $150 a week for basic groceries for two people. By the time you add in cheeses, cereals, condiments, you're talking that you can tack on another $100. And on an average, two people in the U.S. are spending around $800 to $1,000 a month. Now, obviously, that's an average. You may spend a lot less depending on how you eat. Some may spend a lot more depending on how you eat, but for two people. However, in Panama, contrast $800 to $1,000 a month to $450 to $700 a month. Okay, so that gives you a contrast. So on the low end, it can be $450. On a high end, you're talking about $700 a month. And that's when we talk about high end. For y'all that come here or anywhere, and you're looking to pick up U.S. brand anything or imported anything, always remember that if the country don't produce it, it's going to be more expensive. Think if you've ever traveled to Hawaii or the Bahamas or Jamaica. What makes their products and services more expensive? The fact that they're imported, right? So the same holds true, even though Panama is an isthmus, it's not an island. But whenever you're talking about imported anything, please understand that you're going to be subject to more prices because it's not something that's done here. All right? We cook our dog food. Listen, do what you got to do. Daryl's good to see you. Y'all are lighting this chat up. Guys, if you have any questions, do me a huge favor. Put it in the chat. Preface it with a Q so that we can know exactly that this is a question and not a statement. Also, family, if you're enjoying today's conversation, you want to help us keep creating good content like this, you can definitely support the channel right now by giving a gift or sending a super chat. We certainly want you to subscribe to the channel, and let's get those subscriptions up because we're trying to help as many people as possible. Let's switch gears. We got a couple more things, and then we're going to get out of here for the day. We're going to get some more Q&A going for you guys, but I just want to make sure we get all this heavy lifting out of the way. Dining out costs. Here we go. Now, we've talked about this in the past, but we like to update this because sometimes, depending on your experience, you're finding different things. But I can tell you that a casual local meal here in Panama is going to be about $5 to $7 a person, versus 12 to 18 in the States. And when we say casual local, in the States, that would be fast food, the equivalent, right? It would be Popeyes or this or that or Chick-fil-A or whatever the case may be. Here, if you're eating locally, especially if you're eating at one of the local fondas, which is a Panamanian, basically an all-you-can-eat kind of a buffet thing, style looking, sort of cafeteria style. I know people who eat out every single day, but because they eat out at fondas, it's cheaper for them to eat out than it is for them to go get groceries, and certainly time to cook it and prepare it and all the things. Mid-range restaurant here in Panama is going to be about $12 to $25 at a mid-range restaurant, and we're probably talking something like, what would be like an Applebee's type. I would call that mid-range, anything like that. They're not a fast food, but they're not fine dining. So that thing in the middle, 12 to 25, whereas there in the U.S. that's about 25 to 40 bucks a person that you're going to, and obviously we ain't talking about buying drinks. We just talking about food, y'all. So know there's a stark difference. And then when it comes to fine dining, you're probably talking somewhere around $40 to $70 a person, again minus drinks here in Panama, whereas that's going to cost you $80 to $150 a person in the U.S. I will tell you this, Cherie and I have never been to a restaurant where we've paid more money here in Panama than we've had in the U.S. So coming from the U.S., and to be specific, we came here from the Virginia Beach, Tidewater area. That's where we lived for the last 9 years. But originally, I'm from Baltimore. Cherie is from D.C. And we also, prior to living in Virginia Beach, we lived in the Atlanta metro for like 8 or 9 years as well. So when you talk about major metropolitan cities like that, it gets ridiculously expensive to eat out on a regular basis. Well, you're going to save significantly those kinds of costs. And that's one of the reasons why your boy had to fix his intake situation, because the weight was not coming off because I was doing the most. It's been 2 years and it's time for me to get locked in, because I'm not going back to the hospital over nothing no more that I can control. Now, again, pancreatitis, I don't know how I was able to get it. Our chef is telling me it's your diet, buddy. I'm telling you, the reason why these doctors hadn't been able to find out exactly what is going on. I got a few tests that I've got to wait to take. I really think it's your diet. And she looked me dead in my face. She said, but we're going to fix that. We're going to fix that. And so we're going to talk a little bit about, and let me just, before we go there, the bottom line, the takeaway is that you can eat out regularly in Panama for 40 to 60% less than you can in the U.S. Now, again, this depends on how you eat and where you eat. Cost for food out in the city here in Panama City where we live is very different than, say, in Boquete, which is in the Chiriquí region, which is on the opposite side of the country, very close to Costa Rica. The pricing is going to be, we went to a restaurant in Boquete one time, and they have the exact same restaurant here in the city, and there was a stark difference in the pricing. And we noticed that because it was the exact same restaurant. And so you're definitely going to pay less as you move closer to the interior. But again, relatively speaking, you're talking 40 to 60% less. I'm going to switch gears, and then we're going to go ahead and let you guys fire away any live questions that you have of me or Cherie after we talk about this. Hiring a private chef. Somebody put that in the chat. How many of you guys have ever had dreams of having a private chef? Put me in the chat. Maybe you thought, hey, if I could ever get to the place where I have somebody shopping, preparing my food for the week, and food prepping it and leave it in the thing in my home, like if that's you ever desired that, put a me in the chat. Put a me in the chat if that's you. Put me in the chat. And the reason why is because although Cherie loves to cook, my wife loves cooking. It's cathartic for her. And she loves experimenting and trying new things. And she's a great cook. One of the things that I learned really quickly, and I see the me's coming through, is that when it comes to my health, and I'm going to talk about me for a quick second, I realize I'll be 59 in September. The older I get, the less I have the energy to go work out. And that's twofold. One, it's because obviously you're getting older, you're slowing down. For me, the testosterone counts are not nearly as high as they were 30 years ago, like all of the things, right? So what I realize, and then the other reason is because quite frankly, things begin to ail you and you have little nagging things that causes you not to feel like it. So for me, it's a tendonitis that flares up when it wants to. It might be arthritis in my hands. It might be carpal tunnel from my years of riding a bicycle, cycling and all of those kinds of things. That stuff begins to catch up with you the older you get. And then if you couple that, like in my case, and you're carrying more weight than you need to, now that exasperates everything. Here's what I learned. In order for me to get control of my weight on a regular basis, I can control what I put in my mouth. But here's what changes that dynamic. If I have to shop for it every week, if I have to cook it every week, if I have to weigh it, if I have to divvy it up, if I have to do all those variables are the things that's going to throw me off. It's not the choice to eat right. It's having it available. So here in Panama, Cherie and I, we came here 2 years ago with the thought of at some point, we're going to hire a private chef to kind of cook our meals, and that way we have them and we don't have to worry about that. And then when she wants to cook, she can, but she doesn't have to. And that way we can change the dynamic of it and make sure that we eat consistently right. And that's where we are today. Well, here in Panama, it is significantly cheaper than to do that here. Then in many cases, if you live in a New York City, if you live in a DC, if you live in Atlanta, if you live in LA, if you live in Houston, if you live in, Seattle, if you live in any of these major Chicago, major metropolitan areas, that's not cheap on no level, especially if you got a family bigger than 2 people. So I want to give you a key insight that when you're talking about a personal chef who shops, cooks, preps the meals for the week, it's definitely much more affordable here than compared to major cities in the U.S. I said that. And to break it down, just so that you guys get an understanding, if you're in the U.S. on average in a week, and again, it's on average, we did some research, you're probably talking $250 to $600 a week. And that depends on how many meals. And I'm thinking that Cherie did this based on 2 meals a day, maybe like lunch and dinner for 2 people. So that's 4 meals a day times 5. So that's 20 meals that you're talking about. It's probably going to cost you in that neighborhood of $250 to $600 a week. Again, a person who is shopping, cooking, and preparing your meals for you. The truth of the matter is that it also, we've seen where it exceeds $700 a week, and depending on the ingredients, it can get expensive, especially if you're dealing with, say, a celebrity chef or somebody who's really famous for what they do. So that can get super expensive. I will tell you that in the U.S., that's not going to include groceries. So now we're talking about that kind of money and it not including the food. So now you're talking $1,000 a week easy. And this is why for most people in the US, that's just cost prohibitive. Let's just be honest. Not many people have that kind of discretionary funds. And even if you do something like logically say, well, let's take the money we spend on groceries for that, it generally doesn't wash because of the inconsistencies of what you buy. You're buying for specific menus versus, staples and all the kinds of things in a traditional grocery shopping spree. So I want you guys to hear that here in Panama City, that number for the same kinds of services. However, this is including the food, including you shopping, the person shop and buying the food. You're talking anywhere from $100 to $300 a week. And this is cost based on what we've researched and based upon what we know. Okay. Now, the higher end chef you got, the more expensive that's going to be. You can negotiate with people here, but depending on that person's willingness to negotiate with you, it may be what it's going to be. But I can tell you that in this, it also includes groceries, planning, cooking, cleanup. Here's what I do know. That is significantly cheaper than coming from a place. So why am I painting this picture for you guys? Because if you want to come to a place where for us, for many people, our health is more important than anything. And what I realize is it's a shame to come to a place that you consider paradise and that you love, and the outside is beckoning you to come out and do all the things. And now you're regulated to sitting in your condo or in your apartment or in your house, if you're in a single family home, even at the beach, and all you can do is look outside. I don't mean no harm, y'all. I don't want to live like that. Not if I can help it. I don't want to be in a place where it is 75 to 85 degrees year round. And although we have 9 months of rain, it don't rain every day, nor does it rain all day, even in rainy season, maybe the exception of November. November is the height of rainy season. Other than that, I'm not staying inside. I'm going out on that balcony. I want to swim. I want to go for a walk. I want to do all the things. And so here's what we're going to encourage you to do. Fix your life so that you can show up for you in that regard. Does that make sense? And I'm telling you, being here gives you options that you just don't have many places around the world. So with that being said, we want to encourage you to join our channel, become a day one member to unlock exclusive benefits and gain access to members only content by clicking the join link. Cherie is popping that stuff in the chat. If you have any questions, load them up in the chat. I think Cherie is definitely answering a lot of them. But let me know. You got a question, put it in the chat, preface it with a Q, and I'll be more than happy to answer it or defer it to my wife. She's not here with me today. She's recovering. Y'all pray for her from an upper respiratory issue, taking care of me, I think, in the hospital. She done picked up something. But she's feeling much, much better. She's just not, and doesn't have the energy to talk and do all the things. Hey, D Major, I think it is, living in Atlanta, but from San Diego. D, here's what's funny. People ask us all the time, what city does Panama City compare to in the U.S.? And the closest we can come to is either Miami or San Diego, in the sense of if you factor in the weather. Miami definitely because of the skyscrapers, but they're loosely, probably more closely associated. The only difference is we don't have hurricanes, and you're gonna get a tsunami, perhaps earthquake in San Diego. You definitely getting hurricanes in Florida, and so that's one of the reasons why we chose to move here, guys. I think I'm it. Listen, Liz, thank you, great advice, Mr. Brooks. Live your best life, Liz. I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna challenge you to live your best life too, because we all need some help, y'all, and that's why we do this. Dale C said meal prepped, local cuisine, or tailored to your taste. Definitely tailored to you. Great question, Dale. So one of the things that we did with this particular chef, and it's one of the reasons why it took us a minute to find the right one, was because we were looking for specific menus. And the beauty in this particular case, and obviously every chef is created differently. Our chef, although she's Panamanian, she got her culinary experience, schooling and all the things in Italy. So she's a Panamanian that cooks like an Italian. And Cherie is forever sending her a new menu, and they collaborate. And a lot of it is based on what I can eat right now, just coming out of the hospital. And that was a beauty, y'all. It almost brought me to tears when I was in the hospital. And it just coincided with the day that she started was the day I was in the hospital. So last week I couldn't eat any of the food that she had prepared, and we wound up giving it away to a friend, my portion away to a friend. But then she said to Cherie, you tell Glenn, I said, send me the menu that they are asking him to stay close to in the hospital, and I will prepare his meals based around it. So it don't get much more tailored than that. So I hope that answered your question. Anybody else got a quick question? Put a Q in the chat and preface it, and that way I'll definitely know that it's there. How expensive is it for families? I have 3 elementary age children, a 72-year-old mother, 2 adult kids. Does it change the affordability drastically? I see their condos only typically go up to 3 bedrooms. So D, just, as a factor of multiples of more people, of course, it's definitely going to change, and I can't speak to your affordability. I don't know what your budget is. But yes, obviously, the more people you're coming here with, the more expensive everything is going to be. The more you buy more food for people, you're going to live in a bigger place. There are plenty of condos, if that's what you want to live in, that are 3 and 4 bedroom. When we first came here, we thought we were going to move on a condo that was almost 4,000 square feet. And it was like 3,500 square feet, something crazy like that. It had 4 bedrooms. It was huge. And then they often have maids' quarters. They call them maids' quarters or servants' quarters. That's an extra room that's not counted in that bedroom count oftentimes, and that's just typical here in Panama. So yes, relatively speaking, if you want to get really specific, Cherie does what we call taste and see consults for people who are really close and they're very serious about coming this way, and she can get you in touch with people who can answer those questions very specifically. But we try not to give general information, but the answer is yes, it would be. How much more? It really depends on where you're living in the city, where you prefer, what you need. All of that. There's so many factors in that. That's just a hard question to drill down on it. So I hope that helped you. Dale C said, thanks very much. Have a great day. But yes, appreciate the love. Appreciate it. We definitely will feel better. Liz said, yeah, and as soon as I get yes, love it. Absolutely. Guys, I think that might be it. We're going to be back next week with another episode. It'll probably be a pre-recorded episode that we'll do. Y'all do me a favor. Let us know what you want to hear. We've got some other things on the horizon coming up. Cherie just put in a video that you can talk, that gives you more insight on housing costs, D. So hopefully that will help you. Yep, I appreciate that, babe. Y'all, housing costs are around across the board. So it's really hard. And by the way, speaking of housing and properties and real estate and rental, we do a real estate information session with our real estate partner, Matthew Marks of Panama Equity Realty. He recently made partner at that company. And if you have a desire, it's a free information session. If you want to be put on that wait list, Cherie will drop something in the link for you so that you can sign up for that wait list. When we do it again. We've done 2. They're very, very helpful. And you can ask very specific questions of the professionals there. We try not to get into their lanes because we don't want to give y'all misinformation. I appreciate you guys so much. Dimples, let's see what you got. How soon do you have to contact them once you're there? Who's them, Stacy? Contact them. How soon would you have to contact them once you're there? Them meaning who? Because I done talked about 1,000 things. The chef. You know what? We've been here 2 years, and it's a researching mission. So there's no chef information system where you can go. One of the things that we did, and this is something I'll encourage you to do. When you get here and you move to a particular neighborhood, get to know the local restaurateurs. Get to know them. Get to know who own those restaurants. And one of the things that we've done is we've befriended, especially places we go to on a regular basis. We know either the owners or the executive chefs, and we chop it up. And so when I have a need, we did this when we did our 25th wedding vow renewal over at the Westin Playa Bonita. The first year we got here, Cherie and I had a pastry chef cater that, right? And we got that name from a local coffee shop owner who happens to be a chef. And he said, I got the perfect person for you. And so he was also the person that we went through to do. So I would say once you get here, you get to know the lay of the land and ask, because there are the guys, listen, that culinary scene here in Panama is explosive, and it's a whole thing, and people are really, really leveling up. So it's definitely, doable. So I would say, definitely once you get here, do your research and figure that. Like, I love it. You said y'all can talk offline. Okay, cool. Healing prayers for my wife. Good. I love it. Definitely would like more info on the Panama relocation piece. And again, when I say relocation, it's a Panama real estate information session. It's a real estate, and it gives you information on renting, costs, what's available, how to find stuff, purchasing costs, what's available, how to find stuff. And we do that every month. We've done 2 over the last 8 weeks, and so I guess we're kind of talking about every month or so that we're doing that. So if you want to be put on that wait list, definitely let us know. Alexander, we're definitely not relocation specialists, but Cherie can definitely provide you some general information, some guidance, some contacts if you want to schedule a quick call with her on the Taste and See Panama consulting level, and you can absolutely schedule that with her. And y'all, we don't have an axe to grind. Listen. We came here as business owners. Our thing is that Cherie and I are both authors. We're relationship specialists. We run a group coaching call for couples. We have been for 8 years. Glenn P. Brooks Jr. LLC is the name of our company. It's a personal professional development company where we help couples level up and grow intentionally. She and I have been married for 26 years in a row, and we have an incredible relationship with our co-parents. We've authored 10 books together. That's what we do for a living, if you will. We also are the lead pastors for Breakfast in the Word, although that's the We All Need Some Help Foundation. We don't draw a salary from that. It's our opportunity to give back to the spiritual community that's here and abroad that want to connect, because you're going to find it challenging to find a local church that culturally is a connect. So that's going to be a challenge, I can promise you. And so we felt like we would fill that void. It's online. But we do a monthly fellowship over at Mika's Cafes called First Saturdays. And so our goal is to add value. We're at the stage in our life where it's about legacy for us. Everything we do speaks to legacy living. And so I'm not here to build an empire. I did that. That's how I'm able to be here and give stuff away or be available to just share. We did that already. And so God has been incredibly good to us. Love it. Cherie said that the link will be posted in the description for the real estate information session after the live concludes. So thank you, babe. I appreciate that. So after this live is over, check back in about an hour. She's going to kind of get all the information assembled and put in the chat and the description, and we'll do all that. In the meantime, for those of you guys who are in the chat, she just posted this link. That'll get you something right away to get on that wait list for the Panama real estate information session. And our goal is to help you find the easy button, y'all. That's our goal. Because here's what I can promise you, and I keep saying this over and over again: you cannot get to any place of significance by yourself. And the reason is because we all need some help. I'm going to go ahead and sign off. It looks like we've got all of our questions answered. We'll be around. We'll definitely check the chat in about an hour or so. If you got any questions, post this. If you are a replayer, put replay in the chat, and we definitely will answer your questions up the road. Yup, Debo52, no worries. We appreciate you for being here. At the end of the day, y'all already know what time it is. I said it once, I'll say it 1,000 times. You cannot get to any place of significance by yourself, because we all need some help. And I'll see you guys next week, Lord willing, the creek don't rise, along with my wife, for Behind Closed Doors with the Brookses. We'll talk to y'all soon.